I said it before and I'll say it again.
That scene, that last scene.
What does it mean?
I'm the dude, you know?
Get the fuck out of here! No, I cannot. That final scene starts now.
Hello. We're back. Back on schedule, actually.
Yeah.
Right?
For the first time in
I think so,
many
yeah.
Well, but
months.
yeah. I mean, it was quite sweet. Someone posted on our Spotify page and they said, I think I sent the screenshot to you guys. Oh my God, I'm so glad you're alive.
Oh, yes. We're not dead. Don't worry.
We're not dead.
We're back.
Yes. And this person had thoughts on Ripley.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the screenshot that I shared with you earlier. Let me find their message. Miss you guys, glad you're alive. Ripley is the most visually beautiful thing ever to be put on TV. Sadly, Dickie Greenleaf and it could not get past episode 2.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of... Well, I'll be honest. Episode 2 is where I'm at as well, but I want to continue with it. I am in, like... It is enjoyable, I would say. I mean, I agree with the Dickie Greenleaf thing, because that's Jude Law's character in the film.
Oh.
And he's...
Who's the actor? Oh,
I'll tell you now. The actor's name is...
I love
The actor's name is Johnny Flynn. And...
Can I see a picture?
Yeah, I'll show you him now. This is Johnny Flynn.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen him in anything else.
Vaguely.
But I mean, it's the thing is, right? It's like it's Andrew Scott's TV show, and actually Dakota Fanning's really good in it as well. I think. But yeah, I agree with the thing about it. It does look visually like incredible, but I think that's quite easy to do because you are shooting in. Is set in one of the most beautiful places in all of Europe, and you're shooting it in black and white.
Anything in black
like
and
Andrew
white
Scott.
looks so much more beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. Like I watched a bit. I watched Mad Max Fury Road again.
Oh, wow, okay.
Recently, because obviously Furiosa's out this month, and you can watch that the Chrome edition. You can watch that in black and white, and it just looks amazing. But interesting that I think it's intentionally a slow burn. I think, but it's keeping me interested. So I'd be interested to know why it's lost that person. Is it just the Dickie character?
Yeah.
But glad to know they cared about us though, even if they don't care about Ripley.
Yeah, of course. I think it's one of those TV shows for me that are gonna stay under my list on Netflix, and I'm never gonna actually get around to watching them. But I don't know. Maybe it's for me. It's one of those shows that I will put in the background while I'm doing something else. And it's a terrible thing to say.
Is it long?
Oh, I think it's only like 8 episodes.
Yeah, it's probably more.
They're about 45 minutes each, but every episode feels quite long because it is quite like a slow burn. It's very like.
Do they talk slowly as well? Is everything almost like in slow motion?
Yeah,
Like, it's just like,
yeah, it is.
Why do you need to string it out?
you're like, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
So had you seen the film before you've watched this?
No, so I have. So I still haven't watched the film. I'm like keeping my powder dry.
How
on that
did
one.
that happen?
Talented Mr. Ripley's just one that's never really been on my radar. I don't know why.
For me, Talented Mr. Ripley movie is very like Shutter Island in that you can watch it once and it gets you once, but you can't really get the same hit the next time you watch it because
you know that what happens.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that's it just doesn't have the same hit. But I really enjoyed it. It's excellent.
But maybe that's the difference, right? Like maybe that'll be hard for people with this one because it is essentially the same story based on the same book. So watching it, having seen the film, because I haven't seen it, as I say, I'm going in pretty fresh to it.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of, it's not really.
Yeah. In Greece, you
bit
could
more
not
intrigued.
escape the Talented Mr. Ripley. It was
Really?
on TV every month.
Really?
Yeah,
What was the film there?
No, I don't think so. It just
Because the TV, I don't know about the movie, but the TV show set in Italy. TV show set around like Naples and stuff like that.
Right.
I don't know if the movie's the same.
Do you think the main reason for commissioning the TV show was the incredible scenery opportunity for the cinematography?
I would, for sure.
Yeah.
I'd say that's a big part of it. Is just that like they wanted to make this.
Because my mum and dad will watch
visually
TV
stunning.
shows just for the scenery. Like they're like, oh, this lovely program about the Lake District.
Yeah.
It's like you're still watching like scenes of the Lake District on a small screen.
Right.
Yeah.
But they love it.
I do think it's part of this new genre that we're seeing of remakes in TV series format. And if you do a remake, you just have to do something different because you can't just like cast someone that looks like Matt Damon and Jude Law. You just need to do something different. So they took the black and white route. Same thing with Dead Ringers, for example, with Rachel Weisz. They just needed to bring it back to life. So they need to do something different. So I think it's probably that it has like such a massive cult following, the film. But they were like, yeah, we may as well do it like quite luxury. Like it's part of that sort of.
Yeah, I think that's what it's clearly shot to, and even the story lends to make itself feel like it looks.
Yeah.
In a way that like you know, with like White Lotus, in that
Right.
like it feels
Yeah.
luxury, especially that second season in Italy. It feels quite luxury, and Ripley is kind of like that. It's like it's trying to make you feel like you are just a carefree 20-something who's living off
Yeah.
daddy's money in the south of Italy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just quite
It would
Yeah,
be
visually
interesting. I
amazing.
don't know if anything happens to it in the end, but it would be interesting if, because you call it slow burn, if the last episodes took like a radical turn. It almost turned like a horror movie or something like
it
that.
becomes a slasher movie. That would be amazing. Like Sunshine.
I would appreciate it. Yeah,
Sunshine
yeah,
gets
yeah.
to the end,
Yeah, exactly.
2 hours of incredible science fiction movies, and then it fucking turns into a slasher film for the last 20 minutes.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we need a bit more of that, don't we?
Yeah,
Just a bit of a U-turn.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simon, have you watched anything recently in the past few days?
Well, I watched Beautiful Boy. Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, okay.
About this boy who gets
About a beautiful
to
boy.
meth. Yeah.
And he gets addicted to meth.
Yeah.
Not so beautiful anymore.
Have you guys seen it?
Can I just say it's the only film? Well, Call Me by Your Name is TBD. I would have to rewatch it, but it's the only film where I really liked Timothy.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
I haven't seen it.
I liked the film.
I found it quite Monty.
What does that mean?
Like full?
A lot of
Full or Python?
There was a lot. Argy. There was a lot of montages, and it was
Right,
like
okay.
relentless montages, like
Right.
flashback.
It's very sad.
I found the story like it was a very well put together film and very well polished, but it was very inevitable, and the way Timothy's life as a young adult was kind of then parallel to his life as a child with these flashback montages, and it got a bit repetitive, I thought. And
Yeah.
the way it played out
Yeah,
was
that's
just
fair.
exactly as expected. And actually, like if it turned into a slasher movie 2/3 of the way through, it would have been a welcome like
Yeah, a welcome
change to it.
reprieve.
Yeah,
But I
that's fair.
thought Steve Carell was amazing in it,
Yeah.
and it was a nice story.
Yeah, he was great.
But
Is it quite- is
I've
it
seen
quite
lots
novel?
of films about crystal meth.
I probably felt like a much more polished version of Requiem for a Dream. Where,
Yeah,
like it's
'cause-
just
yeah.
inevitable. Like you know what's gonna happen. Like
There's even a scene where Timothy started shooting up in his arm, and it's got the same like black scabs
right.
where he's doing it, exactly like the scene that Darren Aronofsky did in Requiem for a Dream. So yeah, I thought it was alright, but not amazing. But it was
Yeah.
very sad. Like
How-
it did move me.
How did you find Timothy?
Good.
His
I
acting,
like
yeah,
him. I
yeah.
don't have any beef with Timothy. I think he's good.
Okay. Well, we do have a question.
Oh
on
right.
That,
How
on that
about
front.
Chalamet.
Well, someone asking, is anybody going to stop Chamalet from acting? I am fed up.
I don't know if I'm fed up with him. I'm just kind of...
I think he's good.
I do think he is a good actor. I think I just... Like... What's the right way to put this? I just don't know if he's necessarily been in great films, you know? And like the next one's going to be this Dylan biopic that he's doing. That's going to be a real test of how good he actually is, because biopics, if they're done wrong, can be crap. And like Dylan's been done as well. Like, you know, it's not...
Also,
it's not,
he's still alive, so he can still
yeah,
judge it.
exactly.
I went to see him in Finsbury Park a few years ago,
Oh, really?
and he sounds like a duck.
Yeah.
He honestly, he was like quacking.
Yeah.
And the only reason I was able to know what songs he was doing, which I don't know him that well,
Yeah.
is that there was a dad and his daughter next to me, and he was telling her all the songs, and I was like earwigging me. Oh yeah, I know it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I think that'll be quite telling, and I just think maybe his last couple of movies, they're like his movies are just ones that, apart from Dune, which obviously I really enjoyed both of those, but I don't know if he's not the standout in either of them. I haven't seen Call Me by Your Name. Is that troublesome that I haven't seen
I
it?
really enjoyed that film.
I
thought it
love
was
that-
very
I
moving.
love
I do
Yeah.
need to watch it. I know I need to watch it, but I'm.
but it's
Can you
really
watch
good.
it? Because I'd be interested.
I will.
to hear
No,
your
I
review.
do. I do really want to watch it.
I think
mean,
it would move you. Call Me by Your Name, especially there's an amazing montage right at the end where it's like the
monty.
dad and the son having a discussion,
Mm.
and then the son having a phone call with this love interest. It's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's,
I will watch it.
Yeah.
I will. I promise.
Yeah.
It's right good. The other thing I watched was Wicked Little Letters with Olivia Colman.
Oh yeah, the comedy movie. I saw
Yeah.
a trailer for that and I just thought it looks like a good romp.
It's very rompy.
Yeah.
It was a light romp for
Yeah.
a sort of.
Nice.
It's almost the
It's
kind of
Olivia
thing.
Colman and Jessie Buckley, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's quite cheesy, but it's quite funny. It's like the kind of thing that it's quite parental, I would say. And there's some naughty language in it, but it's done in such a way that it's like quite okay.
But that's the whole thing, isn't it? It's about like, was it somebody like writing rude letters or something like to somebody or something.
But
like
it's
that.
worth it for you because there's a very amusing scene with Tim Key.
Oh, lovely.
Tim Key plays. I think he only has one thing in the whole film,
Yeah.
one scene, and he plays a priest.
Oh god.
And there's a really funny scene where the wicked little letters lady, who's been secretly writing these obscene letters and posting them to people left, right, and centre, she's hanging the washing out. And while she's hanging the washing out, you can see these two black boots under one of the sheets, and it's Tim Key suddenly revealed from behind the sheet, and he's been earwigging into the conversation. It's really funny.
Okay, nice. I will check that. I did see. I think it was for Before Poor Things. They showed a trailer for it, and it did make me think. It looks like just a little bit
It's
of a.
kind
laugh
of
on
like a
Saturday
dinner
night.
on your knee type
Yeah.
Right.
treat. Yeah, it's no more than that though,
Okay, nice.
but it's funny.
Okay.
And apparently it's true.
Yeah, it's based on a real
Yeah.
story, isn't it? Yeah.
And he got mentioned in Parliament and stuff. Like it went to the highest echelons in the UK.
What is it
establishment.
about?
It's about this lady that takes it upon herself to write really obscene letters to begin with to her neighbours, and then kind of starts writing them further afield. And another lady in her village is accused of doing it.
Ooh.
And this other lady is really really leery and mouthy, and she's Irish.
Yeah.
And
Jessie Buckley.
which is true. She's brilliant in it.
Yeah.
And it's actually this very prim lady. But it's not a. I'm not spoiling it to say
Yeah.
this. It's fairly predictable, but it's good fun.
You can't spoil anything that's based on a true story, can you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I can very easily Google it and find out what happened.
Ben, what about you?
I've been watching quite a lot actually. I've had to
Let's
write.
go.
I've rarely like I
This
stopped
is why
writing
we have
things
like
down.
a catch up only episode this time because it's just so much to go
Yeah.
through. Yeah.
So I watched Mad Max again and Fury Road because I hadn't watched it in a long time, and I just forgot how fucking weird that film is. It's so weird, but it's so good. Again, like, and I mean, kind of in the Ripley way, like visually is amazing. Like it looks so good, and yeah, it's just a mad film. George Miller's an incredible director, but I don't know if I'd necessarily like to take a tour around the rooms of his mind because it's just so strange and weird. I finished Fallout. I thought Fallout was great. I don't know if either of you started watching it. I thought it was amazing.
It was great.
Especially I thought the ending was incredible. Watch Baby Reindeer.
Yep.
Which is just like fucking
A roller coaster.
crazy. Yeah, it's just
Did
it's
you
mad.
watch it, Simon?
No, I was walking in Battersea Park the other day, and I heard like 3 separate people
Yeah,
talking about it.
I think everybody's talking about
It's a
it.
zeitgeist
It's an
thing.
interesting one because there's a lot of discourse about it around like. I was reading.
Wait, what's it about?
So it's about a guy, a struggling comedian in London who starts being.
We talked about it last time.
Yeah, we talked about it the last time. He starts being stalked by.
Oh yeah, and it becomes therapy that he meets his stalker.
Sort of.
Yeah, kind of.
Therapy
Yeah,
is
and it kind of leans. It's kind of like a lot of it is about like why he almost coming to terms with like why he almost enjoys having the stalker and like why he feels like the need of her, and then you kind of go deeper into his past and stuff like that. But it's a true story. So like the guy who's in it, he wrote it. He's written a couple of Edinburgh shows, and that's kind of been distilled into this TV show. And so there's been a lot of kind of conversation about it after it coming out about Netflix's responsibility to like as soon as you put something like that out and people know it's a true story, immediately all the sleuths on the internet are going to go and start Googling things and trying to find out. And it's funny that we say this because this is on the night that Piers Morgan is talking to the woman who who was based on the TV show Martha, which is kind of crazy. And it raises an interesting conversation about like if something is a true story, especially stories like that, which are quite difficult and hurtful for people, to maybe have to relive what happened at that time. What responsibility do Netflix and the creators of the shows have to those people? But I think the one thing I would say about that is that from the end of it, and I don't know what you thought, Sophie, like you get halfway through the show and you're kind of like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like, Jesus, what, like this is she's awful, she's terrible. But by the end of the show, you kind of realize that everything he does, and the whole point of the show, is an empathy thing. Like, it's clearly he feels bad for this person and feels really sorry for her. But yeah, it's just a mad TV show. I would recommend watching it. It's incredible. Like, especially like the last episode or two, like amazingly, like bawling my eyes out in some of them. Like, it was incredible. Like, it's so good.
You got my reference when I said that it reminded me very much of I May Destroy You and Fleabag in terms 100%. Of like the storytelling. 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very I would say closer to I May Destroy You than Fleabag. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
it's almost
amazing.
like the first half is Fleabag and the second half is I May
exactly.
Destroy You.
100%. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, there's that turning point in episode 4.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that I mentioned this last time, the reason I find it so brilliant is because it had to take you through the first 4 episodes with that tone in order to win you over by episode 4 and 5. If it started with that sort of tone, I don't think people would continue
for
watching.
Sure. It's really well balanced, And then I finally watched The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, the Nick Cage. Have you watched that?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
fun.
It's really it's a bit like the film. Was it the Jules film when he's doing the unexpected film about stealing jewels, diamonds?
What, Ocean's 11?
And it's really stressful and it's really tense.
Uncut Gems.
Yeah, Uncut Gems. That's it. It's a similar in the same category for me as that. Where
really?
Do you not think?
Not stressful.
I didn't find it stressful.
It's like a unexpectedly good film.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think Pedro Pascal makes it for me, even though obviously Nick Cage is supposed to be the main star of it.
Yeah.
I just think Pedro Pascal is great in everything he does.
I think it would have been better if it was campier and more OTT. I think they played it safe, especially the second half. I remember it being very like safe.
Yes,
the second half does go a bit bland.
Yeah,
the second half goes well in the way that you completely expect it to go in. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I saw Civil War as well, the Alex Garland movie.
Okay, I've heard so many mixed reviews.
I really liked it.
Okay,
I really liked it. I thought it was good because it's an interest. It was one of those ones that like it made me think quite a lot about movies like that, because it's an interesting one because you're setting it in like a not too distant America, in which you would hope nothing like a civil war in America ever happens, but you know, with the way things are going, you can see it. So it's really interesting to see the film through the lens of like war correspondence and war journalism. And actually, the film is called Civil War, about a civil war in America, but really it's not about that. It's about like what it's like to be a war correspondent and a journalist in that, and like what they do. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I mean, it's weirdly paced, like it kind of speeds through certain bits. Like the ending goes really quickly. And
I've heard from people that they could have was another half an hour of
for sure. It feels so the whole film is it starts in New York, and it's these journalists who are making their way to Washington DC, where supposedly, you know, these states that have seceded are finally going to take Washington. They're going to kill the president, all that kind of thing. And they're making the journey across America.
Was this made post-insurrection?
Yeah. So this is made in the last 2 years. It's Alex Garland, so the guy who made like Ex Machina and
Ex Machina.
Yeah. And I think he wrote like 28 Days Later and stuff like that, didn't he?
Oh, did he? Don't quote me.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Annihilation or
Annihilation,
Man.
Yeah.
And
so it's really like it's really interesting, his take on it. But by the time they get to Washington DC, it's very quick. It's all like just one basically big kind of battle scene for about 10-15 minutes, and then the film's over. That's kind of it.
And is it like a Civil War battle scene of like normal non-army people fighting?
No. So it's army people fighting army people. It's basically it's basically as these, you follow as the, I think they're, I can't remember what they call themselves, the something states, the Western Front or something like that, as they are basically moving through the streets of Washington towards the White House and getting to the White House and finding the president, who's played by what's his name? The guy from Parks and Recreation. He plays.
Is it supposed to be Trump?
Yeah. Essentially, I think that's what it's trying to say, but it's not really saying that, because the film never lands on either side. Never says one side is good and one side is bad.
Right.
The whole point of it is just like as these journalists, they have to stay out of it and stay on the outside, and you know, there's certain bits of it. It's like, well, just take the you have to take the fucking picture. You have to do this.
So in this Civil War world, how's there still a free press, and who's broadcasting what?
Well, so that's never really talked about. There's still free. There is still like free press, and it's kind of almost like journalists are almost. They're not protected, put it that way. There's certain stuff in the film that you're like, there isn't really a free press, like, you know.
So there's journalists for each side, I guess, reporting.
I
back
guess so.
To their
Yeah, I
side.
guess so. Yeah, or reporting to the outside world, like they supposedly say they work for like Reuters and stuff like that, and working for the outside world and getting stories out of America. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Wagner Moore is great in it. He's so good. And Kirsten Dunst is fantastic as well. Like, I think
I love her.
hopefully there's a bit of a resurgence for her because she's really good in it. And yeah, I just thought it was, considering we're living in a world now where there's basically 2 wars happening right now, it's really interesting to think about what it's like what kind of person goes into journalism to think, well, the journalism I want to do is on the front line, and I want to take pictures at the front line while bullets are flying, and I want to do this and I want to do that. So I really enjoyed it. And then as a tonic to that, after that, I basically watched all of the X-Men movies in the space of about 48 hours. So that was good stuff.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Old and new?
Yes.
That's
I
crazy.
started with X-Men, then went X2, skipped Last Stand, First Class, Days of Future Past.
I love First
then
Class.
Apocalypse.
Oh,
and then I watched Wolverine.
okay, yeah.
Because I just lost my mind. I thought I need
Logan?
some...
No?
No, I didn't
No,
go to... No, I didn't go all the way to Logan. No, I didn't go all the way to Logan. Maybe I will watch Logan again soon.
Ahead of Deadpool 3.
Yeah, exactly. That was kind of it. I got like
Yeah.
with Deadpool coming out, I was kind of like, yeah, it's going a little bit of an X-Men train.
Yeah.
And because I started watching X-Men 97 on Disney Plus as well.
I've heard really good things about
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So it made me want to rewatch it. And some of that stuff is really good. Like, what's funny about it is it's kind of hard to believe how you can make these amazing stories with superhero characters, and then someone like Sony can fumble so fucking badly and make movies like Morbius.
Or
You
even
know,
Apocalypse.
yeah, even Apocalypse. Like, how did Fox get it so wrong?
Yeah.
And even Last Stand, they do it in 3s. They go, the first one's good, the second one's great, the third one's dog shit. This tends to be how they go with this.
Right, yeah.
So, it was a nice little tonic to like calm myself after Civil War. But yeah, sorry, I've talked a lot there because I've watched quite a lot. But
Love
yeah.
it. Love it.
Save
It's
us,
great
Sophie. What else have you
It's
watched?
great for people listening. I also finished Fallout.
What did you think of Fallout?
I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sold at first, but I think I just found it quite... For someone who hasn't played the video games, I just felt a bit lost in the world in the first episode or two. Because I think it took its time to connect the four different characters together. And I was like, why is the goal, like, who are you and why do we care?
Yeah.
But I think they did a good job at tying everything and everyone together by the end. I think I would have liked it to be potentially like a bit campier, and I think they may go down that route in season 2, but overall really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was
Nice.
really, really well done.
Yeah.
I mean, my only shout out for this episode is just Challengers.
Yes. Yeah, you said that you it's
you
your
know,
favorite film of the year so far?
Film of the year was Iron Claw this year. It's the best film I've seen since Iron Claw. Like 2 films that really stayed with me for different reasons. Like Iron Claw is just like very emotional, very sad. This one is, think of Social Network and Moneyball in a film, which is like a great combination, like 2 great freaking films. And I don't want to give too much away because everything I say is a spoiler, but the only thing I can say is like love triangle and tennis. Like that's
Sexy tennis.
sexy tennis. But it's from Luca Guadagnino, who's behind Call Me By Your Name. I didn't love Bones and All, his previous film, mostly because I'm not a fan of body horror, and it's basically like a cannibal film, which is ironic. But I also didn't connect with Timothée Chamalet and like the girl, like the couple. Just didn't think the movie went anywhere, even though I know people that liked it. So yeah, it had like signature Luca moments, but at the same time, it really did a lot of stuff that I haven't seen on the film before, in the cinema before. So I thought the use of soundtrack was incredibly clever. So even though you're watching tennis, it has like EDM in the background that supports the tension of the play, which is incredible. And also, it's a film that plays with multiple timelines, which I generally like in a film if it's done well, because in the beginning you're like, what the fuck is happening? But long story short, there's a core, aka main timeline, which is a real-time tennis match between the two guys. And you're watching that as you're having that as your main timeline, and they score against each other, right? So when someone scores, you get a flashback of why or how this person got the point in a metaphorical sense. So it's like, so it uses gameplay in a very interesting way to tell the story, which I haven't seen before. So yeah, it was like, it's great. So for example, like you could like one person gets a score and then there's a flashback 5 years later of what this person did to win a score, quote unquote, against the other person in real life by doing something. So
right.
So yeah, it's very smart. And yeah, I mean, Zendaya is a fucking queen. I don't know what to say. I just love her. I thought every one of them. So it's Mike Feist, Josh O'Connor, and Zendaya. All of them are incredible. Very complex characters. There's not like a villain or a hero. I know people like are quick to take sides between the two, and because Zendaya is like the trophy, but she's much more than that because she's also the villain. So it probably has like Euphoria vibes. Like, I don't know, maybe because it gives me a lot of that sort of gray area character building. But yeah, I think you're gonna love it. I think, yeah, if you love
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
I need to check it out.
Yeah, it's really fun and very, very tense. But it's super not safe for work.
Right.
Even though it doesn't have actual sex.
Right.
But it has other things that just make it like equally like not safe for work. It's very sweaty, very sweaty.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
tennis, you know, it's a very sweaty game.
Yeah, it's tennis. Yeah, there's also that. Yeah, yeah.
30,
Yeah,
love.
yeah.
Deuce.
Stop it.
Lots of sexy
Stop
words.
it, Ben.
Fault. Ooh.
I do like the word deuce.
Yeah, deuce is a great one. Deuce.
And they will say it really close mic'd.
Yeah. And they all the grunting as well. I mean, it's perfect.
Oof,
Please tell, there has to be, at some point, I'm sure in the movie, there has to be someone either moaning on a tennis game or moaning in sexual pleasure that then cuts to the other. Has to be. There has to be. Like, I mean, if you've not done that, then that's a loss for the film. That's a knock off the score
for
already.
the montage transition.
Yeah,
point.
exactly, yeah.
I don't think there was.
It's already,
Do you remember the really
that's already
cheesy
docked a
tennis
point.
film by, is it Woody Allen? It's called Match Point or something.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Quite
And it ends
sexy
with
film.
one of them chucks a ring into the Thames, but the ring like hits the barrier, and then you don't know if the ring falls in the Thames or it falls in the path.
Oh,
It's
I
like
haven't seen it.
all these cheesy metaphors, isn't it?
When you say tennis film, I
happened?
just
Was
think
that Woody Allen? Was that?
Yeah, that's
it
Woody
was.
Allen. Yeah.
I just think of the Wimbledon film from the early noughties around the bend at like Beckham time with Paul Bettany.
Wait, am I thinking of that? No, it's a separate film.
No, that's much.
Yeah, Paul Bettany. What happened to that guy?
What happened to
Paul
Jonathan
Bettany's still
Rhys-Meyers? I mean, that's another question.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different question entirely. Good lord. Paul Bettany still does. Paul Bettany's been in
He's
like
like
the
a
Marvel
vision-
movies.
yeah.
I saw him in A Knight's Tale. Is it?
Yes, he's in A Knight's Tale. Yeah, he's like the guy who is he like a monk or something, or does he carry around his stuff? I can't remember what he is.
He's
in A
like
Knight's
a
Tale.
drunk in it at the beginning, and he ends up becoming a really good fighter or something. I can't remember. Yeah.
Paul Bettany's had a mad career. He's also he's also like the evil monk in the Da Vinci Code as well, isn't he?
I've never seen that.
Have you not? Oh, the Da Vinci Code is a nice level of camp as well. It's so stupid and unbelievable.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, but I think it's quite watchable. Whereas the sequel is so dumb, it's actually infuriating. Basically, the best way I can sum it up is that at one point, Ewan McGregor, a priest, skydives out of an exploding helicopter. And that's all you fucking need to know about that movie. It's so bad.
So dumb.
But I can recommend watching Da Vinci Code. It's a good camp romp with.
Can't believe it had a sequel.
Had two, didn't it?
Oh, two.
Didn't they make another one? Didn't they make the Angels and Demons was the next one? And then I feel like there might have been another one.
You're probably right.
I think they did a trilogy, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Because
Yeah.
Tom Hanks just wanted that shmoney. Wanted that Dan Brown shmoney.
Tom Hanks has lost it. Genuinely.
All I think of when I think of Tom Hanks now, even though I think he's a great actor, is his face during the Ricky Gervais roasting of the Golden Globe intro a few years ago.
Oh, I don't remember that.
And Ricky's
I mean,
like,
I know his roasting, but I can't remember which
he's
part.
doing, the Harvey Weinstein jokes.
Oh, yeah.
And saying, you're all, complicit. And they pan in on Tom Hanks and he's just going... He just can't... he can't fathom that this is going on in the room.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, I mean, none of them could at that time, could they?
Well, someone asked us if we've seen the new Planet of the Apes, and I'm guessing we haven't.
I'm guessing we haven't because it's not out in this country yet, right?
Oh.
Oh, is it a new one? A new remake?
Well, probably this person's from the US.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I think. Yeah.
Oh, shame.
No, I don't think it's out. I think it's out this week.
I have genuinely lost the plot with Planet of the Apes.
So
I'm not sure how many versions
so
are.
they showed the trailer when I saw Civil War. This one is set in the future where this is more like the original Planet of the Apes timeline now, where the apes rule the world and there's smaller collections of humans and stuff like that.
Interesting.
And I think one monkey tries to get them to coexist with the humans, I think, is the general storyline. I saw IGN gave it 8 out of 10, so I mean it must be okay. I think they've done a good job with those Planet of the Apes movies. I mean, like Rise and Dawn were quite good, I thought.
Is that the one with James Franco? Because these are the ones I liked.
So Rise is James Franco.
Right.
And then I think Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was the next one, which I thought was better than Rise of the Planet of the Apes. But it's hard because they have so many names and
Yeah, they're all the same.
Yeah.
Like, and then there's Kong at the same time. It's like it's like a different franchise altogether.
Yeah.
And Godzilla as well. If you want,
and they're all crossing over now as well.
Yeah, cousin. Yeah.
What, like Alien versus Predator?
Yeah, the last movie was
Godzilla versus Kong.
It was, and there was Godzilla versus Kong. Then there
Godzilla versus Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, there was Godzilla X Kong.
What?
Yeah, Godzilla X Kong because they come together.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
Too
not
many.
with Elizabeth Olsen. No, that's Godzilla.
Yeah, I think that's Godzilla. Yeah, that's the Aaron Taylor Johnson, Bryan Cranston Godzilla. Yeah, that's a while ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have an interesting question, which I know Simon might not like on surface level, but I do think
Is this about Roadhouse?
Well, it's close enough. Painting FPS is asking, is superheroes era finally over? And I think it's an interesting conversation because I think we've had a couple of news today and the past week. So first of all, Lord of the Rings is back.
It's back.
Officially, with new films, with Andy Serkis to direct, and I have thoughts. So do we have
Take
like
it away.
two? Do we have like 2 films coming up or 3?
It's just one, isn't it? I thought they've just announced The Search for Gollum or something like that, right?
To be first of 2 new movies set in Middle Earth.
Okay.
So I don't have high hopes when it comes to Andy Serkis as a director because he did Mowgli, and
Yes, he did.
he also did Venom 2. So I have a low bar in terms of what we're gonna. And to be fair, like Jackson is it? He's still scheduled to produce, but I mean, someone on the page made a really good point. They were like, well, and Del Toro was a producer in Pacific Rim 2 and it was garbage. So a producing title doesn't mean anything really. A credit, sorry. So I have a lot of question marks, but that said, I mean, you're the true LOTR expert and what this means for the post-superhero era, perhaps.
I think I'm on board for the TV show. I think I'll watch Rings of Power season 2, but I'd be interested to, like, before I pass judgment on it, I kind of want to know what they're basing this off. Because like the original because the original movies are amazing because they're based off incredible books. Like the source material is amazing, and the best comic book movies, like the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, are always really good because they're true to the source material and they try and stick as closely as they can because they know how much these things mean to people. And it's like, these things are amazing stories in and of themselves. We don't need to try and tinker with them and make them something different. So I'll be interested to know what it is. I just don't know how much a Gollum film is going to stand up on its own. You know, like it's hard to know. Whereas at least with,
it's almost like they're trying to find a beloved franchise and just milk it out further.
Yeah, but that's what every studio is doing now, right? Like that's all they're doing. They're just trying to find the cash cow.
Do you know what I'd like is, Happy Gilmore? I'd like Shooter McGavin to have his own spin-off.
Oh, that's a good one.
That'd be good.
Put it out to Adam Sandler. Try and get him to do it.
Is that what's essentially
But
happening here?
I mean, could that actually be a thing eventually? Where, I mean, it's clear that there is superhero fatigue. It's probably clear that remakes are not doing very well. Like
No.
maybe with families, like if you guess the new Aladdin, I don't know. I don't even know if it did that well, but these are not hitting the mark either. So what's next for studios to make the big bucks? Is it more like Barbies, or is it more like, yeah, to Simon's point, finding like quote unquote like beloved like characters that didn't get as much limelight as they should in an original film? I can't come up with an example.
Or it's the
now.
big directors, right? Like with a Christopher Nolan, you're kind of guaranteed that he's going to make a load of money at the box office anyway.
Yeah, but these guys are gonna go away eventually. Or I mean, they do make a movie once every 5 years, so I don't think studios can rely on them. Or Scorsese to bring.
We've got Megalopolis.
But making one
coming out,
movie
don't we?
like that big every
Coppola.
5 years is probably 5 years of work, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting one because clearly Disney have clearly realized it, because they've just said as well, like, obviously they've been churning stuff out. And actually, now that I think about it, this still feels like quite a lot, but they've said at no point in the future are they ever going to release more than 3 movies a year now. And they won't do more than 2 TV shows, because they've obviously realized they've seen that people aren't watching anymore.
Yeah.
And they need to go back to the drawing board. And it seems to be that they're, I mean, I don't know how this happened, but they're pinning a lot of their hopes on Deadpool this summer to like reset everything. That they're bringing Ryan Reynolds in to
I think it will bring short-term relief, because it's probably
it'll
going to be
give
really
them-
good.
It'll give them a bit more runway
Yeah.
for the next one to work out what they're going to do with it.
But to me,
But-
it does feel like that era is over. Like it does feel like superhero conversation is just not exciting anymore. Like everyone's like eye rolling their way through the cinema.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's because they're not doing anything interesting with it, right? Like they're just doing the same thing over and over and over again.
What about video games? Because it seems like those are having a moment right now in TV and film.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that seems to be the new hot thing right now, isn't it? Especially like Fallout, The Last of Us. It's the new kind of cool thing is to base things off, because they're, it's similar to comic books, right? And that's what The Last of Us, I think, did a really good job of, and Fallout does a good job.
Area of culture can you hold a mirror up to?
Yeah.
Next.
And you don't have to come up with anything original, because it's already there. Like I even thought of like the Life is Strange films, games. I could see them being turned into, movies for a different type of demographic.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? And that's kind of really sad, isn't it? That how many original stories are there in cinema these days?
It's also about risk, isn't it? Because if you take something like Fallout, there's a fan base that have already bought in and love the game franchise, so there's less risk.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're going for
Yeah.
the kind of low risk, high reward, because they know the people who like the game will probably like the TV show, and people who don't know about the game, we're just, we're balancing it on, we're putting a lot of money into this that hopefully will make something that's a winner, which isn't always the case.
Yeah. It just seems that studios are looking outside of those conventional ways of recreating, taking old IP and just doing something with it. They're just looking outside of their own industry. So, I mean, Margot Robbie is doing like a Monopoly film. Like, they're just all of it. And there's a Bratz movie coming up. So it seems like we're going to be making movies about Heinz the ketchup.
If you zoom out though, it's a bit of a comment on the state of consumerism, isn't it? The way people really latched onto Barbie because of what it meant for them in their childhood or whatever. It's like that's how far the reaches of consumerism tentacles kind of go into our lives. That we'll go and see a film about brats.
They're just desperate for you're right, familiar IP in a way.
Yeah.
But anything around you will turn into a movie. There will be like a Sims movie. There will be ketchup versus mustard movie.
The next couple of weeks, I'm going to go through Larry Clark's filmography, because he did Kids. Do you remember Kids in the 90s? It's like quite a gritty film about like teenagers growing up.
Okay.
And there's another film he's done. In fact, he's done a few. He did Bully. He did Another Day in Paradise. And he did Ken Park. Do you know that?
I think I've heard of them. Yeah.
Anyway, I'd recommend you checking out his work, but it is quite hard to watch sometimes. But it's quite gritty compared to what you see at the cinema now.
I think it's interesting because even in the last 6 months you've had stuff like Poor Things do really well that is an original story.
Civil War, I think, is doing well.
Civil War is doing well as well. Yeah, I don't know how well it's doing, but it's doing well. Like the fact that you even see studios re-releasing movies now in the cinema to just try and kind of flog some more money out of them. I mean, for Star Wars Day, we had The Phantom Menace coming back out because it's 20 years or 25 years or something since the release, and I think the Lord of the Rings movies they're putting back in the cinema quite soon as well to make some more money out of them. You know, how do we get studios to trust people more like Yorgos Lanthimos that like there are these original stories that are worth telling, and that, you know, if you put some money behind them, you could do well. It's just...
I think that's an interesting point, because it brings me to the second piece of news that I saw this week, which is Disney, Warner Brothers, and Hulu announced a bundle streaming service is coming out in June. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be here, available here.
Probably
or like
a US one only.
Just in the US. But that to me signals that, I mean, to see Disney and Warner Bros. Teaming up, it paints a very clear picture in terms of who they think the villain is, and that's Netflix, right?
Yeah.
They're just going all in, like the old school guys up against, you know,
The
Netflix and Prime and Apple TV. So I feel like with that sort of positioning, they would have to differentiate themselves, right? Like what's the USP of Disney and Warner Brothers versus Netflix, which is like Love is Blind, and obviously you get the Baby Reindeers as well, but for the most part it's high churn. So maybe that's where you're gonna see more original. I mean, maybe I'm just being very optimistic, but maybe you're gonna see a bit more original filmmaking.
I think we're more likely to see more original TV than we are original films. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they keep people longer, so it's all about retention as well.
Yeah, you get 8 episodes rather than a 90-minute film. I mean, it keeps people longer. It keeps people paying their subscriptions. It keeps people coming back, especially if you release them week by week. That's what I liked about Fallout. They all came out at once.
Yeah, true.
Which you don't really get anymore.
Yeah.
Like
I thought like by now, do you remember the film Be Kind, Rewind with Jack Black?
Yes,
Yeah.
and Mos Def.
And they blank all the video tapes and the shot backs and end up having to do their own remakes.
Great movie.
So you think now, like on paper, because everyone's got, you know, a smartphone in their pocket, has an amazing camera on it, everyone will be making films, and there'll be this like really flourishing like B-movie scene. It doesn't really, unless I'm looking in the wrong places, there's not like films that are bubbling up that are homemade that are suddenly becoming huge like viral hits.
Yeah,
I think that's TikTok.
Yeah, but that's 30 seconds long.
Yeah, unfortunately, and it's sad. But
I would have thought there'd be more like budding video makers making really amazing,
like low budget, like
short film never hit the mainstream as a like that 15 to half an hour. It almost doesn't feel right for our brain.
It's really hard, isn't it? It's really fucking
it's hard. But I've seen, and every year, because I go to a couple of festivals and I do see some great short films, but none of them has ever hit the mainstream. It almost feels like our brains aren't made for 15 like minute movies. It's weird. It's weird because Quibi tried that with for a year, less than a year, right?
But it doesn't even feel like a movie, right? Like calling it a short film feels weird because like immediately you associate with a film something 70-80 minutes plus. You know, for something that's 15 minutes.
Because I often like hark back to Napoleon Dynamite and Juno, and that felt like a really exciting, not quite DIY era, but it felt very alt and kind of a bit low budget and interesting.
Well, even that was around the same time that you had like Paranormal Activity and stuff.
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
you were getting loads of these low budget films that were actually doing really well at the box office, because Paranormal Activity was different because it was like horror is an interesting one, because actually horror, if you do it on a low budget, can be even scarier because when you have to be as practical as possible and as creative as you can be on lower budgets is quite interesting. Whereas those comedy ones like Juno and Napoleon Dynamite and Little Miss Sunshine were really kind of, they were interesting because you were also like, I think there's something in how much money actors make as well. In that if you take like put Juno and Little Miss Sunshine, right? Because I was never the biggest Napoleon Dynamite fan, but in Little Miss Sunshine you have Greg Kinnear, Toni Collette, Alan.
But she was big then.
Like but that's what I mean. Alan Arkin, and you have Steve Carell, Paul Dano. In Juno, you have Elliot Page. You've got what's the dad? J.K. Simmons, the guy from Arrested Development. Like people who are like to get them now in these films, to try and get them to do a low budget movie like something like The Holdovers, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't have added probably 2 or 3 more main actors to The Holdovers on the budget that they had to make that movie. Like, this was I read an article a little while ago, and if you're interested in the whole kind of downfall of Marvel, IGN wrote a really interesting article a little while ago saying, when they announced the casting of Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic for the Fantastic Four, and they announced that whole cast. And the point they made is, no one is denying that he is a fantastic actor. But the problem is that there's so much fucking money these days that you have to go for the biggest hitters.
Yeah.
But actually, when these superhero movies started and Marvel started things out, Robert Downey Jr., people didn't want to touch him. And Jon Favreau trusted him to be Iron Man, and they all trusted him to be Iron Man. Nobody knew who Chris Hemsworth was. Nobody knew who Tom Hiddleston was. Chris Evans was the rom-com guy, who then becomes like Mr. America, Captain America. Chris Hemsworth becomes this like huge, massive superstar. You know, like they had to do things differently because they were on a lower budget and they were able to be more creative. Now the thing is, now you just fucking throw money at the problem. So actually, the lower budget ones are always better because you have to be more creative with it, because the story has to be good enough to cut through. And I guess we just miss out on that. That's why, like, The Holdovers is a great example, because it cuts through, because it's an amazing story and like it's a really touching film. Yes, with Paul Giamatti in it, who's like somewhat mainstream, but Paul Giamatti's not the biggest name in Hollywood, right? Like, he's not huge, but the story's good enough to cut through.
Yeah, I really think that the second half of the Marvel era felt like, I don't know, Disney had Marvel GPT somewhere and they just created the exact same script and like storyline. You knew exactly what was going to happen 5 scenes ahead.
I have a theory that in general it's just harder and harder to shock, because if you take a film like Trainspotting from the 90s, where they were showing like heroin culture in a film in the mainstream, when the film that became mainstream, it's like now everybody's seen all that stuff. Everyone's seen what's the Zendaya thing, Euphoria and stuff, and it's like we're so used to having everything everywhere all at once, quite literally. It's really difficult to show someone something new that they haven't seen before.
I think they're also struggling with the idea that because they want to make the maximum amount of money as possible, they need to be family friendly.
Yes.
So there's also that element.
I'm not sure about that. Most of the stuff I find is like quite. Like, I feel like in terms of censorship and stuff, we've gone more rude and
I mean, like things like Miss Marvel, and I mean they're very safe.
I think that's why they're going for Deadpool, though, right? They're going
in the Marvel.
To see if they
I'm not familiar with that.
No, as in, like, all of these films are fairly safe because they want to attract the family audience. Right. But then again, my counter argument is, surely you can find great talent with 250 million budget. It's just that you don't want to, because you want to play it safe. It's an executive decision. It's not like they can't find great people to write.
No, they can't, but they also just want. They just want the person who will bring the people, because people will go and see the Fantastic Four because Pedro Pascal is the lead, and that's nothing against him. I think he's one of the best actors out there at the minute. I think he's amazing. But people will come to see that, you know.
Like I'm not excited about the new Superman film. Like, what is it gonna like? What are they gonna say?
I think Warner Brothers are gonna get
another Superman.
I think I genuinely
will
think
look exactly like Henry Cavill. I'm like,
it reminds me. Have you seen that clip from? I think it's from In the Thick of It, where Peter Capaldi is talking about Star Wars, and he's like, he can't remember the name of the film. He's like, you know, the one with that guy who's his mate's a pedal bin. I love that clip.
What's that film that you love? What film? The one about the fucking hairdresser, the space hairdresser and the cowboy. The guy's, he's got a tinfoil pal and a pedal bin. His father's a robot and he's fucking fucked his sister. Lego. They're all made of fucking Lego.
Star Wars.
That's the one, right. It's like that, okay. I'm gonna fucking kill all the bad guys. And you'll be able to blow up the big...
The Death
Star thing.
Yes.
Then you can go and live happily ever after on the planet of the teddy bears.
Very works. It's a fantastic analogy. Well done.
I honestly though, I think Warner Brothers are in for a shock. I think they're going to start releasing these James Gunn superhero movies, and they're going to realize that people don't give a shit anymore. I think they've missed the boat. I think like if they had brought him in 10 years ago, and we had seen like a proper rivalry, like when Marvel was at its height, that DC actually brought people in who understood the source material better, that probably would have pushed them both to constantly have to be better than one another.
Maybe the next iteration will be a more meta approach, and it'll be about the studios warring each other.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean,
would love
yeah,
that. I mean,
that could be it. That
That's
could
a
be
good
the next
rescue
one.
remedy for them.
give me anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no Bratz movie.
No, and no more Lord of the Rings. We don't need any more. Just leave the original 3. They're perfect as they are.
Well, that's a great segue for my final scene suggestion.
Oh, for our next one.
I think we should just take the plunge and do a Lord of the Rings. Could we do you think
How much homework is this?
I don't remember the first. Is the first one's final scene good?
The first
Even
one's
though
and there's excellent Sean Bean action in the final
really?
scene of the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
know Sean was in it.
Sean's in the first one. Dude, the cast of Lord of the Rings
It's absolutely
is
mental.
fucking mental. It's Ian. The first one is Ian McKellen, Sean Bean, Viggo Mortensen, Orlando Bloom. What's Elijah Wood, Sam Austin,
Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett. It's ridiculous. Like, it's so many good people. Like, yeah, I think it's
How long's the first
Christopher
one?
Lee. Christopher Lee's in it.
Do we have to watch all of them for this thing, or can we just watch one of them?
Why don't? Okay, I mean, I know we say this every time, but why don't we watch it together? I mean, I'd be happy to do like a movie night.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
What?
you feel-
Oh, and do it like
And
a
we
marathon.
watch Fellowship. Well, just watch the first one.
What's the first one? Then do like a
Extended edition.
and then record.
Good grief.
Sure,
We
I
have
don't-
to
I
watch
don't-
the extended edition.
I don't
Come
know
on,
I don't know
we
if
can't
I've
not.
seen it. I'm happy to. Is it like an extra half hour or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
It brings it up to the 3-hour mark.
Right.
So is this the Fellowship of the Ring
Yeah, boy.
from 2000?
Yeah, so good. So good. When filmmaking was real.
I do think when
amazing.
it comes to franchises, that's the one where you.
And also, we've just had one of the cast passed away. The guy who played
Oh yeah.
Theoden
he
in the
was
second and
yeah.
third has just passed
It's
away.
a bit of a shame.
Yeah. So, I mean, if
Yeah,
we can...
I wouldn't ask you. I
Oh
wouldn't
my
ask
god!
you.
Do you know what the standard run time is of the Fellowship of the Ring?
I would say it's at least 3 hours.
2 hours 58.
Ooh! And
Yeah.
you won't feel a minute of it. It will fly by. You will be devastated when it's over. That movie is that fucking good.
It is great.
It's
Is it,
so
as, is it
good.
as good as Willow?
It's better than Willow. I haven't seen Willow, but
I haven't
I'm
seen
guessing
Willow.
it's better than
That's
Willow.
my only reference point.
That's the Jim Henson movie, isn't it? Willow? Is Willow Jim
No,
Henson?
Willow is the one
With Warwick Davis?
Yeah. Oh, is it Jim
Not it?
Henson? No, are you thinking of Labyrinth?
I thought Willow was Jim Henson as well.
Oh,
maybe I'm
maybe
wrong.
you're right.
Maybe I'm wrong. It's better. Yeah, I'm saying it now. I don't care. It's better.
If we do this and you somehow enjoy it, we can obviously do 2 and 3 as well. But the deal can be you bring the next final scene.
Okay.
Yeah. If we do Lord of the
Fair
Rings,
enough.
then Simon, you can pick the next one after that.
Cool.
Finally. Yes.
That'd be
I love it.
insane. We'll do like themed cocktails.
What's the cocktail?
I'm not sure. We're gonna figure it out.
Gimli's Gimlet. There we go. A character called Gimli, Simon, just so you know. We can all get Legolas.
That's a really good.
God,
one.
I wanna
That's
roll.
a really good one. That's a really good one. I just feel like I've been meaning to rewatch them, and I just need some sort of motivation.
The weekend that I got stuck into X-Men, I almost rented the... Well, actually, I almost bought the extended edition box set to rewatch them.
Yeah, because I have to say, I am curious about the new ones. I have zero expectations, but if they're good, they could be really good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could use the rewatch.
Yeah.
I
Let's
don't
do it.
remember, and like I remember the first one and the third one pretty well. I feel like I blanked on the second one. Like
I think the second one's the best one.
probably I
The
just don't
second one's
remember
my
it.
favorite one, I think. Yeah. And I just love it because, and also as a filmmaking thing, it's just amazing because they filmed all 3 of them at once. They spent like 3 or 4 years in New Zealand filming constantly, and they just did them all in one go.
Do we have any Lord of the? I mean, besides you, Ben, but I wonder if we have like any Lord of the Rings super fans that we want to bring along for the final scene. Have any friend, something to think about? Maybe like a friend or an expert who can basically give us all the, trivia and the BTS
Give us
drama.
the
Yeah.
Yes. So good.
Oh, Vigo.
I'm so excited now. Yes.
It's actually
I'm so
good.
excited.
It's actually
It's really good.
Yeah,
it is really
It
good.
is good. It's much better than Star Wars. Yeah.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
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 You don't
not
like that's
seen
not,
that
that's a
either.
low bar.
Oh god. I'll have to watch that one afterwards.
Yes,
No.
we'll do a Star Wars marathon afterwards.
Yeah. Well, the old ones, right?
All of them, Sophie.
All
All 9, including spin-offs, which probably brings it up to about 15.
I wouldn't watch the Natalie Portman ones again. I cannot bring myself.
Phantom Menace is not as bad as you think it is. I'm telling you now, honestly, it's 25 years. Go back and watch it. Phantom Menace is not as bad as people think it is.
The next franchise needs to be James Bond. Star Wars, it'll take a while.
I think the reason why I was also turned off Star Wars is because it had this like middle-aged man thing about it when I was like a teenager. So I was like, oh, it's just what old boomers like.
Yeah, but
whatever.
you are a middle-aged
No,
man.
it's time. It's time to watch
It's time to begin. We'll get you like a Wookiee t-shirt and everything. It'll be great. You'll have like a Han Solo belt or something.
It felt like the kind of content that older people couldn't let go of or something. It was like, you know, I love Adam Buxton.
Yeah.
He has this like thing about talking about Star
But
Wars
I would
and referencing it.
What I would say about that is I think it's because it's timeless.
Yeah.
I think you can still watch I think you can still watch the original Star Wars, which I mean the first one came out in what, 77?
It's like when you go to the pub and there's like an old man there and they go, I love you too. Nothing comes close to you two. They don't make it like you two does. It's like, no, that's not true. You're just stuck in your ways from like back in the day. Like,
I mean, I haven't met anybody who feels that passionately about you two in a very long time.
I think that it's because that happened to me.
No,
that actually
no,
happened to me in a pub, and it really stuck with me. And this old man really annoyed me because he was really like superior about you two, and I was just like,
did he say nothing compares? And you said, no, that's Sinead O'Connor.
yeah, wrong friend, mate.
The YouTube cult is real.
Yeah,
the cult of Bono.
And he thought it was really cool, and I was like, God, E2's pretty cheesy, dude. Come on.
No,
I do like a lot of E2 songs, to be fair.
Lord of the Ring is one of those franchises that it's a worthy franchise.
Yeah.
Like it just it's worth it. It's
like
earned
fine
its
wine,
run time as well.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Cool.
Cool.
That's
Can't
great.
wait.
That's amazing. I mean, any parting thoughts? Any
No,
final
I want
records?
to end on a high. I'm getting to watch Lord of the Rings again. Yes.
Amazing. Excited. Cool. Right. Time to go away and probably convince Simon again because he might change his mind. So we need to leave. We need to leave quick.
I've never vetoed a final scene before.
No, you haven't.
Oh, you haven't.
So
actually.
please leave comments on the Instagram page. Leave comments on Spotify that we need to do this. Simon can't talk his way out of this one.
Comments. Any fun segments that you want us to do around Lord of the Rings? Absolutely. Any character, trump cards, we'll do it. And
I used to have Lord of the Rings top trump cards.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And oh god, do you want to know that? Do you want to? do you know what? I'll say. Do you know what, Simon? Do you want to know the dorkiest?
I think we need the Ben's Corner segment.
Who has the most rings in Lord of the Rings?
If you promise that we can do Lord of the Rings, I can give you the dorkiest thing about me as a child, if you'd like to know.
Wait, you know what I'm thinking about?
What?
That scene in the IT crowd where they play the Dungeons and Dragons night.
Not even that. I would say even dorkier than that. Would you like to know?
Yeah.
As a child, I had a Lord of the Rings chessboard.
Oh, cute.
So, just imagine 10-year-old me with my little fucking...
It's not a stretch, dude. It's not a stretch.
There you go. That is the single-handedly the dorkiest thing about me, I would say.
That's mega cute.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, see you in a few weeks.
Lord of the Rings.
Did you like it? Did you like that?
Did I like it? I loved it.
I had no idea you could milk a cat.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.